Okay, so today we're going to look at translations and reflections, which you did your first 2 days of online learning. But today we're going to look at the coordinate rules of them. So if you are given this function, x squared plus 4x minus 5, and let's say we want to translate it up 3. Okay, so you should have learned on day 1 that if you are going up, all you have to do is add 3 to your function. So you're going to take this function plus 3. So our function rule, so if I add 3 to this, you're just going to end up with, actually, let's call this g of x. We'll have g of x equals x squared plus 4x, and then negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Okay, so that's your function rule. So now we want to look at a coordinate rule. So a coordinate rule would be x, y, so every coordinate of this original function, what happens to it if you translate it up 3? So it'll go from your x, y to what? Well, if you go back to integrated 2, when we talked about translations, if you're going up 3, if you're going up, you're talking about your y, so you're going to add 3 to every single y. So your coordinate rule would be x comma y plus 3. Okay, so let's look at another one. Okay, so this one we are going to translate left 4. So it's the same original function. If you're going left 4, or if you're going left or right, don't forget that it's the opposite of what you would think. So if you're going to go left 4, you're really going to add 4 to every single x value. So your new function rule, let's call this one h of x, is really going to be, so left, you would think it would go to the left, or you would think you would subtract, but you really add because you're doing the opposite when you're doing anything horizontal. So we're going to take this x, and instead of doing minus 4, you do plus 4, and then squared. And then you do the same thing for this x. So we're going to do x plus 4, and then minus 5. So in general, when you're moving left and right, you are inside parentheses with your x. When you're moving up and down, you just add something to the end. Okay, so then we have a coordinate rule. So this is when coordinate rules usually get screwed up, is when you are going left and right. So this is telling us we are moving left 4. So if you are moving left 4, you are going to be subtracting from all of your x coordinates. So this is going to be x minus 4 comma y. So the reason this one gets confused is when you're writing your function rule, it's the opposite of what you would think. But when you write your coordinate rule, it actually follows what you're doing. So if you're going left 4, you're going to subtract 4 from your x values. But in your function rule, you do the opposite, which is adding. Okay, and then let's look at one with a reflection across the x-axis. So when you're reflecting across the x-axis, your function rule, all you're doing is you're taking this whole thing and you're making it negative. So let's call this one, I don't care, p of x. So I can do a negative, put a parenthesis, x squared plus 4x minus 5. I can do it that way, or I could write, I could just distribute this negative and do negative x squared minus 4x plus 5. Take your pick, they're both correct. And then when you are doing the coordinate rule, so let me just draw this quick. Okay, so this is a positive quadratic, so it's going to look something like this. Okay, so when you reflect this across the x-axis, it'll end up looking like this. Okay, so let's let's look at our minimum. So our minimum on the original was here. Okay, and now it's here. So which coordinate actually changed? Is it your X or your Y? Well, let's just pretend that's at 1. So the X actually stayed the same and the Y changed. So your coordinate rule will be X, comma, opposite of Y. I don't like to say negative Y because it's not always negative. It's just the opposite of what Y actually was. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, so we switched up our function. Now we have the absolute value of x plus 2, and we want to translate it up to and right for. So our function rule, okay, we'll just call it g of x equals, okay, so up to means you are going to be adding to the end. So let me just write it up over here. So we have plus 2 and then up to, so plus 2. And then we have right for. So remember, left and right, you go inside your parentheses, or in this case, inside of your absolute value bars. So if we're going right for, you're going to do the opposite of what you would think, and we're going to subtract 4 in here. So we're going to have x minus 4 in your absolute value bars, and then 2 plus 2 is 4, so plus 4. So that's our new function rule. And then our coordinate rule, we'll go from x, y to, so if we're going up to, up is talking about your y values. So we are going to add 2 to our y's. And then if you're going right for, so if you're going right, you go inside your parentheses. Oh, sorry, we're doing coordinate rule. Ignore what I said. So if you're going right for, you're adding 4 to every x value. So x plus 4. So coordinate rule, you just follow exactly what this says. The function rule, for moving horizontally, you do the opposite.